I'm alive. I'm alive. I did it. I did it again. I woke up again this morning and air moved through my lungs and I realized I was alive. I am alive. Why the hell? What did they do to put me here? Like, why? I know I'm alive. But why? Why am I here? Why am I here? I mean, am I the only one that wakes up in the morning and wonders, like, I'm alive? Like, and then, what the hell just happened in my dreams? I had this thing and I saw waves and I was working at the restaurant. I grew up in the restaurant business, by the way. Family restaurant, and it was just busy. It was just busy. There was a line out the Sunday brunch door, and it was just, I couldn't catch up. I couldn't keep up. I have not waited tables or worked in the restaurant or worked out on the floor for years, and I still have these dreams, these panic dreams, I can never serve enough. I can never get past the line. I'm asking for the side of bacon. The side of bacon's not showing up. Anyway, and I wake up from something like that, and then I'm like, I'm alive. And why am I here? Because you naturally, I think, go there as a human being. You wake up, you realize you're human, and then you're doing this again another day. And I don't have there's the lists. I have to do this today. I have to do that today. I have to do this live stream today. I'm not even prepared to do the live stream. What am I going to do today? Oh my God, I got to talk about Jupiter and Taurus, 12 rising signs. Do I even know what the hell I'm talking about? I mean, there's that. But then there's something deeper. It's just the deepest thing. Why am I here? Explore my mind. I mean, I'm looking at chat right now. Hi, everybody. Why are you here? Why are you here? I mean, I know. I mean, come up with reasons why. I mean, that's what's up. What the hell am I doing here? Why am I doing this? What are the deeper reasons? Where am I going? This quest that I'm on. The quest that I'm on. And you should ask yourself the same. And maybe you have. It's just last day of the year for some of us. Some of us have already had it. 6 a.m. They're in Australia. They're waking up hungover. They're just getting to sleep. Who knows what the hell you're doing over there? I know you're something. But in this place of the end of a year and the beginning of the year, ask yourself why. And when you get there, you do that. Now what? Now what are you going to do? And so maybe we could tackle a couple of those things today, talking about each rising sign, and I'll say brief 3 words about it. And who knows? You all have something to say in chat about it, your own experiences coming from your own rising sign. And my favorite shader visual thing you're seeing here, pink and blue, it actually gives me, it makes me happy the pink and blue you're seeing up on the screen. It's also kinky. I just got something for this. I don't know. There's sometimes I'm in my room. I'm not on the live stream. I'm not doing nothing. I got pink lights everywhere, and I'm just kind of like, I play some certain music, and I think about why. You know what I'm saying? Might as well do it through a pink filter. So let's do this. I gotta light something. I'm gonna light some storax for us because that is the resin of Jupiter. And we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay. I see you all in chat. We're gonna do this. Canada Dry, thank you for the super chat. Happy New Year, Canada Dry says to everyone. I'm super busy, so I'm going to drop this little ka-ching right now and leave and rewatch later because I'm on the run right now. Love you, Nicholas. And I thank the universe for letting me cross paths with you, Red Heart. And I thank the universe too, Canada Dry, for us connecting through the ones and zeros, and then using that, going beyond the ones and zeros to be human. To be human. Thank you, Canada Dry, for the super chat. And Happy New Year to you. Thanks for coming to the live stream. It is 2:12 p.m. No, I got two different times in front of me. 2:05 p.m. Pacific on a Sunday, December 31st. And I'm tangled up in wires. That's my life, actually. I'm tangled up in wires. And I'm trying to figure out the wiring situation here right now. Well, I have this... Why the hell is it... This is retrograde right now. Okay, that's it. Why am I here? Why am I here? Why are you here? We're going to do it. We're going to figure out the hell why. And I'll start with the beginning of the chat here. Thanks for the super chat, Canada Dry. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Let's see what's up. I see familiar names and faces. Joe G, Happy New Year to you. And thank you. And I'm sending hearts out to you. 3 emoji hearts. Jen D. Hello, Jen D. Scorpio Muse says hi to Jen D. See, you guys are... Hello, hi. Happy New Year to you, Scorpio Muse. And... Jagger Waters, joining between planet medicine ceremonies. I have to go where you are. That is a way to do liminal space in between places, endings and beginnings, walking through doors and back and forth. Jagger Waters, thank you. Thank you. And blessings to that incredible sharp mind of yours. Titi and X, happy end of the damn year, everyone. That's exactly what's up. Happy New Year to you. El Sosa, hello. Linda Calder, Happy New Year to you. Jessica is all... Jessica's got crustaceans on the screen. And hello, Jessica. Blessings to you. And if I'm correct... It's reminding me that the moon that we're in right now, and it's a Virgo moon, doing the stream. I got to go easy on the stream too, by the way. I'm a little discombobulated. And why the hell? There we go. All right. Joe G's talking about Venus and Sag. Yeah, we're talking about that. Could talk about Venus square Saturn. That's a good old time. Mandy Bailey, I don't think dreams are about being in the weeds ever. Lorian, Happy New Year to you. Cheers to you, Lorian. And Fru One Thunder, I think that's what it says. You know what you're talking about. Sometimes I do. This Jupiter thing, it's like what you think you know or you know, and then what you come to know and find out and what you want to know. Jay Peterson, your head is a bowl of spaghetti. Join the club. Yeah. I like extra sauce, and I like good bread, garlic, and butter with my spaghetti. Dip in the sauce. Christine Hauser. Hello, Christine. How are you? Right back at you. Azure. Trying to decide whether to go out for New Year's, being present in the meantime. You know, I think that's a question for a lot of people. It's kind of funny with something like a Virgo moon happening where it might be about more of an internal thing here for some, you know, and whatever calms your mind. Whatever makes you feel like the blood is surging through your veins in some sort of way, and you're warm from within, and your mind is calm, and your heart is full. If that happens after 6 shots of tequila on top of a table, dancing on top of a table, that's great. If it happens where you chill, you take it easy, and you do a different kind of ritual. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm kind of solo here for New Year's. So I don't know either. Or I'm trying to decide too. But it's good to see you. Sharpanda, Happy New Year to you. Here already. Happy New Year. See some people here already because we do have people living in the Southern Hemisphere different times and stuff like that. How is it over there in the New Year? What's going on? What do you see? Did something happen? I'm catching up. Leanne Patterson, Happy New Year to you. Whoa, I'm seeing some new people here in the chat. Eric, looking good, mate. I hope you're looking good, my friend. Thanks for saying what's up and you're on this thing. I'm not going to rush things today. I'm just going to do whatever's, but I just want to acknowledge everybody. It's most importantly for this stream that I do this because just what this year has been for me in YouTube. We'll talk about that later on. But Eric, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. And drink a pint for me, will you? Let's see. James Sanders. Ha! Exclamation point. Jupiter's boosting. It is. It is, James. And Happy New Year to you. And Joe G. Oh, with the cool little emojis. I got to find those. Those are cool. I don't know. Were those on the YouTube thing? The Lilac Tree says, Happy New Year. Gonna make some frozen pizza and listen to you fabulous people. Actually, frozen pizza sounds good once heated up. Nikki Nice. Virgo Moon not trying to go out. Yeah. Stay home and just read. That's one thing. I'm staying home, Lily Welch says. My lunar return, that means soft pants and good food. These are good. Yeah, so I am caught up with the chat. Let me do my thing. Where the hell is my fucking lighter? Let's do it. Delight some resin there. They call Storax. I guess my chair was in the way. Yeah, let's just had to do that. And get Jupiter in this room. It already is. I've already been doing Jupiter. And let's start off with something. This is from one of my other favorite books, Greek Poems to the Gods. You know, I've talked about this on this stream. And I picked something in here today. Really, I always talk about the Orphic Hymns book that I talk about. But this one's a little special. I mentioned this on the stream a couple times. You can go to my bookshop.org, whatever, or I'll post this later, whatever. But this is a little something, feels good, and the size of it, you know, if you're into books like I am, and the pleasure derived from touching a book, even from, the smell of pages. Even has like a green, you know what I mean? Green behind me, green here. And green's a thing here on this stream, by the way. Because it's Venus. We'll get to that later. But really like this book. So we're going to go to a different kind of Orphic hymn. It says to Astrapaios, Zeus. Astrapaios means of lightning and refers to the fire that accompanies Zeus's thunderbolt. Here, Zeus is invoked as giving a sweet end to life. Sweet end to this year. I call upon great, holy, resounding, famous, ethereal Zeus, whose fiery glare shines running and blazing through the air. Your brilliance flashes through the clouds with a deafening clap. Oh, terrible, wrathful, holy, invincible God, lightning Zeus, begetter of all, greatest King, bless my life and bring it to a sweet end. That's what I pick here to do this stream, to end this year. I dropped something I wanted to show you, and I'll do it later. So Zeus is here with us. Jupiter from the Roman thing. Let's do it. Hi, Cosmic Supermarket. I see you joining in chat. Good to see you, and Happy New Year. Good morning to you. I think it's already, you're in the future. And it's interesting. I have to say, what I just read about Zeus's lightning bolt and saying hi to Cosmic Supermarket in the chat. Thunder and lightning. Yes. Joe G's, what's up? Jade, bless my life. Yes, bless your life. Bless my life. Bless everyone's life in this chat. Everyone out there, let's do it. Let's go into it. Okay, so basically, I'm going to go through each rising sign and do my best. I'm going to talk about a couple things here first. And I'm going to go show you a chart that is the chart when Jupiter went retrograde and in Taurus. And so if some of you watching don't know, the planet Jupiter yesterday, or within hours here, it's in this place, has stopped going backwards, the appearance of going backwards when we look in the sky. It's been doing this for months, and it is done. It is not happening anymore. It's stationed. It's not moving forward, but it's stationed. So in astrology, when planetary stations happen, they're a pretty big deal, especially when we're dealing with the farther out a planet is, let's say in our solar system, in this case it's Jupiter, it's poignant because it's going backwards for months. Mercury retrograde does this. We're in the middle of one right now where Mercury's going to move station forward tomorrow, actually. And that's a big deal, but we need to acknowledge this because of a Jupiter story in each one of our charts. And so when it stations forward, it's a pivotal point in the cycle. Okay. So Rebecca Hart, Happy New Year to you. And thank you. That's a very sweet comment. Thank you. And I'm seeing chat. I just pulled Tarot. Azure says, yeah, I'm going to stay home or at least not go all out as previous plan. Thanks, Tarot. Yeah, Tarot's always there, isn't it? Tarot doesn't mess around. It's always clean. Sometimes when you pull a tarot card, you don't even get it sometimes. It's later too, it's in the hindsight of it, but it's always dialed, especially when you're working with yourself and cards and you get to know a deck and the way you do things. And there's always some mystery involved too, obviously. Anyway, so talking about Jupiter, we're going to pull that chart up and we're going to go back to that day and we're going to see what day that was and where the degree of where Jupiter was. Okay. And then I'll set it up and then I'll jump right in to doing this. Part of why I'm doing it this way is when I go through each rising sign later, when I'm done with this live stream, I'm probably going to cut the part of the video where I talk about each rising sign, edit it for those who can't do live streams, who can't stand when I do this. And I want to tell you something, by the way, because this is my honest stuff before I start. Every time I do a live stream, and, especially since September, every time I do one, I lose subscribers. I'm being real with you. I see them fall out because I don't do the edited video style as of late on YouTube, because I've been doing a lot of streams because I've had no time to do edited stuff. Now I'm starting to have some time, but I just want to let you know, I think it's fascinating that people, they need the certain type of consumption, and I get it. And that type of consumption is coming their way. So I'm going to take a piece of this live stream out and so it's consumable for people, certain people. Anna, here I am. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so let's do it. Right here is, did I get this right? Yeah, I did with my slow fades. This is right now, 2:20 p.m., December 31st. You could see I started the stream with Gemini on the ascendant, and I have to go back to something now. God, Nicholas, I did something weird. But lots of talking. I started us lots of talking. Come on, program, work for me, will ya? All right, there we go. We're going to do this the right way. So we could see here that the Gemini rising is at 8 degrees, and we see the moon in Virgo at 5 degrees. 5 degrees. Why? Jupiter's at 5 degrees. It's stationed at 5 degrees here. We pay attention to this. So we actually, while we're doing the stream, and I didn't plan on this. I wasn't thinking that deeply and far into it, but we have a great Jupiter in Taurus trine moon in Virgo in earth signs here while we do this stream. Okay. So, and I want to point something else out here too. I want to point something else out to Saturn here at 3 degrees in Pisces, because Saturn or Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, right? And we also are going to pay attention, and I'll talk briefly later here about all the Sagittarius planets right now that are ruled by Jupiter too. There's Mercury here about the station. So, Anahira M, thank you for the super chat, the 777 super chat. Blessings and love to you, Anahira M. Blessings to you. And yeah, it's definitely blessings is the word for a Jupiter live stream. And so thank you, Anahira M. I send that out, not from my mind, but from my heart, okay? And I appreciate you. And, we've had a couple super chats here, and people, on YouTube, they can press that little money symbol where the chat is, and they can donate and stuff like that. And it's appreciative. Thank you. Okay, so so saying that, let's do it. Let's go here. Let's go to, did I pull this chart up? Yes, I did. And here is the chart I'm going to show you right here. It's September 4th, 2023. It says Jupiter turns retro at 15 degrees Taurus, which is such a fundamental place for a lot of people. This tight degree, the midpoint here of Taurus stuff. It got pretty much halfway through its transit, because Jupiter, whenever it goes through its sign, it's approximately a year it does it. And so it got through. And here it was in September. We can take a look at here. We're going pink. And you could see, actually, we had a Jupiter moon conjunction that happened on this day, and you could see the station of Jupiter happened at 15 degrees. And here you could see that already Uranus was retrograde. And we had an ongoing, it just happens to be that we had we were in the Virgo sun and Mercury Virgo. That was such good, interesting times here. Let's point out the interesting thing of that time. And where the hell is it? It's Venus that just stationed. That Venus just stationed coming out of its retrograde cycle. You notice this. You remember this. It is fascinating. It was right. It was like 24 hours. I remember, like Jupiter stationing, and then Venus was stationing out of retrograde in Leo, and then Venus was stationing retrograde. And we have, so this is September 4th. So the Jupiter went all the way to 15 degrees until today basically, it went all the way back to 5 degrees. And for those who don't know astrology, this means now that Jupiter moving forward slowly here for the next couple of weeks, then it starts to get going, is going to go over those 10 degrees. It's going to start from 5 and go all the way back to the 15 point here that we see on September 4th. And it's going to review that period. So in a sense, this will be the third time that Jupiter is going to go over the points of 5 degrees to 15 here. Okay. Since June, end of May, June of this year. And so here now, in Jupiter now, when it moves forward, is not going to go retrograde again until it's in Gemini later in the year. So it's going to go full on through here. It stays at a stationary point, kind of doesn't really move off 5-6 degrees here for a little bit. And then it starts to move forward, and it goes all the way until May and actually ends in a dramatic fashion, as Jupiter should, when Jupiter at the last degree of Taurus will make a conjunction with the sun at 28, 29 degrees to end the Jupiter and Taurus story. It's wild how it's happening that way. I love it. But anyway, I wanted to show you the chart. This is from September 4th, so on and so forth. Cherokee Case with a super chat. Acknowledging that chat reminded me that was a thing. Yes, it is always happy to give back, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Cherokee. And I love the colors they're choosing for people here. But thank you for the super chat, Cherokee, and acknowledging you as a human being right now, okay? And that's what's most important. So blessings to you and Happy New Year. So here we are, September 4th, and that's a big deal, okay? So anyway, let's go back. I had another chart. Oh, okay. And let's do this just for kicks. Just for something later on in this stream. This chart here is April 20th, 2024. And this, if you don't know already, this has to do with the major Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's going to happen. This is every 13, 14, 15 years that Jupiter and Uranus get together and make and produce and start a cycle, a cultural shift type of cycle that happens. And I can maybe get into that later because I want to talk about Jupiter now for personal charts. But this isn't a regular Jupiter transit and Taurus transit. From now, it's going to make some interesting aspects along the way with the Pisces planets eventually, first of all, with Aquarius planets, all that kind of stuff. But this fundamental place of April 20th is kind of in between now and then the end of the Jupiter and Taurus cycle I told you about with the conjunction with the sun. You must note this. You must note this period of time because for yourself in the Taurus part of your chart and for the world. Because on a deeper level, when we have Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions that happen, it sets off cultural shifts in communities, societies, in the world. Okay, and it goes into a larger Uranus cycle that happens every 70-something years, and that you can break it down with many Jupiter cycles within that. I don't want to get too heady on this stream. So basically, we have a major thing here happening culturally. Here too, okay? So, and it's definitely has to do with what Taurus rules, where we're dealing with resources and wealth and what that means, if it's actual wealth or the resources, wealth within ourselves, all that kind of stuff. There's a major shift happening here, and there is a breaking off with Uranus, bringing something new here that's going to set off a story that really helps along a shift for the next 3 years that deals with all the outer body planets in astrology changing signs. So if you're wondering why the hell you feel out of it, or everything seems not grounded, or if you can't do this particular type of way of living anymore, or people are fed up, or they're tired, they're exhausted, we're going through a major fundamental shift as a society in the world, and it's definitely being represented by a planet like Pluto going into Aquarius. Eventually Saturn and Neptune at the same time will go into Aries. Uranus will go into Gemini. But before all this stuff happens, we got some hints. We got the Pluto and Aquarius thing, and we got this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happens in April. Okay, so, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. And I'm going to start getting on a roll here. Good to see you, Isabella, in chat, by the way. Just want to acknowledge new people in chat. Alex D, Happy New Year to you. Wild Magi, I see you up in there. I see you at the top of my chat. And now I have to get dialed in on doing these rising signs. So saying that, what is Jupiter? Okay, listen, let's do it this way. I didn't have time to put keywords on the screen and stuff, but we want to think about abundance and expansion. You're going to hear the typical words about Jupiter deal with expansion, abundance. I think I'm more on another way too to understand. One way I tell people is the planet Jupiter, everyone goes to a birthday party and they're bringing a balloon in, a certain type of balloon, okay? And then Jupiter shows up with 20 balloons, okay? So just so anything Jupiter touches, it magnifies, it expands upon, okay? So it rules Sagittarius and it rules Pisces, okay? So there's this pushing of boundaries, going out for something more, right? Shooting for that star, somewhere far away, and dialing in on that star in the adventure and the quest to reach that star. And whatever that star represents, whatever that theme and whatever that story is, Jupiter's doing that. Now, typically in the astrology world, it's called a benefic. So, it has these benefic qualities, enhanced qualities, they could say, it enhances things. It's a good planet. That doesn't mean shit, though, because we have to deal with other stuff in astrology, but it enhances things. Now, from my perspective, we're dealing with a higher story, a higher purpose, higher power. And when we do things like that, we're on a quest, a Jupiter quest. That takes a vision at first to know what that is. The vision of the quest at first. Be inspired by that. And then take the steps towards fulfilling that vision, right? And along the way, we have things that we bring with us to do this, to support it. It's faith in that vision. And the hope that this could be, or I want this. And I hope it's buoyant, the buoyancy of something like that. It doesn't want anything in its way to finish that quest. Just so happens the planet after Jupiter, Saturn, who just gets in their face and says, no, you got to stop. I mean, thankfully, actually. But, those are some just off the top of my head things. But, it's about getting better at times, those words, and improving upon, right? So we're expanding in those ways, right? So Jupiter and Taurus, and the sign of Taurus being an earth sign ruled by Venus, your 5 senses, and Taurus has a garden it tends to, and where it patiently, stubbornly plants things in that garden for that to grow, to create the resources in one's life, to feed oneself, to pay the rent, to do certain things. But it goes, I think, on a more of a spiritual trip, a more connectiveness, organic connectiveness to self and to the world and nature, and the pleasure that we derive from that place. Okay, so this isn't the best way to say it. I hopefully, I'm just doing it off the top of my head. I didn't plan this part, but I think with Jupiter being in Taurus and Taurus being Venus ruled, there's grace through the senses here too, and patience through the senses, and the practicality that's involved. And that Jupiter can enhance that type of practicality in the senses. It also can enhance other things. And I'll get to you on the other side of this. This Jupiter too is not all candy. I think Jupiter actually can be a very dangerous planet, just in equal parts with Saturn. And there can be an overdoing and an overabundance. Those 10 balloons walking through the door and doing too much, and pushing the boundary too far, or just keep going. And, it's there where one, in a sense, can get lost in the vision in one sense, and maybe what they have spoken on top of their soapbox about and preached about, but then it gets lost and it doesn't fulfill itself. And in that sense, we want to bring in other planets like Saturn to crystallize the vision and create the structures and pillars for the vision to be something, to become tangible. And I think it's very important in a sign like Taurus that we have something we can smell, taste, hear, use our senses. So it gets real simple and practical, even though really it's deeper and spiritual. Okay, so I that's off the top of my head, and let's do it. Okay, so I didn't do this right because I might have to do this. I don't know. I might do this in the weirdest roundabout way. And maybe it works this way. I don't know. I'm going to start with, I'm going to do it this way. It's not going to make any sense, but it will visually. Okay. So I'm going to start with Aries Rising. Okay. And here is not the best chart to do this. I have to figure out how to do this in Solar Fire, but I want to point this out. So here, basically, we see that this is Aries Rising. This is first house. So I'm doing these according to your rising sign, okay? So you could see here, starting with Aries Rising, okay, that Taurus, this Jupiter and Taurus, is falling in what they call the second house of the chart. You see number 2 there, all right? And what this means is first off, we have to remember that we've been in a review period since September. So a lot of things that got started in this transit, Jupiter going all the way to September, there's something that was started, the quest and the vision. And in this case, for Aries Risings, it happened in the second house that deals with money and assets and wealth. Okay, that's the pretty simple way of saying it. But I like to throw in the thing of like, well, what did happen during the retrograde cycle, right? And, I think even the retrograde cycle going backwards and reviewing, it's a big word there, reviewing what was started with the quest in the money house for Aries Risings, there is some sort of exploration during the backwards part. Like, okay, is this all lined up? Everything that I shot out of the gate for, especially if you're Aries Rising and you're Mars ruled, and we're dealing with money and resources and assets, right? There's something started. And then the last so many months of September till now, maybe it wasn't running on all cylinders, but that review period is there for you to look at how you do connect to what resources mean to you, to how the creation of resources, right? In a sense, the garden that is your second house, what have you needed to bring in to tend to the things that were planted there in this place for you to keep the seeds growing, the plants growing? And did some of it fail? Did some of it not go according to plan? Because at first you're coming hopeful and optimistic, and then you run into a couple roadblocks. Okay, but here we want to use this past so many months as a classroom to understand now when we start to move forward here for the next 5 months. You could take those lessons you learned during that exploration and that review time, dealing with with what wealth is, what creating resources is, and money is for you, and then start to shape that differently into let's say the same type of resource you had envisioned, or maybe it changed, that the vision of that changed. And so you get to shape this here the next so many months. So to keep it simple, money, right? But I'm also going to say here that we have to remember what happens in April. And we see the other planet here, Uranus. I'm going to do this for each chart. Jupiter's eventually going to come to this. So there is something new, or a new model of how you do creation or resource creation. And I think you might probably have some of the pieces to this quest, right? But remember, when we get to April, the closer we get to April, there could be something else coming out of the blue to help you do this. The other part of this is, just to do the other part, did you overspend during the retrograde, or did you overspend in this Jupiter and Taurus story in general? Did you get a little too happy with your resources, right? And, you know, we talk about the buoyancy and the happiness of Jupiter and all that. Like, well, hey, the money's always going to be there. I'm gonna take care of myself and celebrate. I worked hard for this, right? And so I'm going to do this. And that's cool. But we have to remember the practicality and the patience of Taurus and what Taurus could bring and how we have to like spread our money out or make sure we have different irons in the fire in the creation of our resources. All those types of things, you have to figure that out for yourself, what that really means for you specifically in the story of your world. But again, part of the retrograde review process is to understand, did you overspend or did you find out you need to bring more tools to help you with the creation of resources and how you view money, how you handle money, and why are you doing it? And I think here on the bigger level is how I started this stream. I'm going to do why for each one of these is why. Know your why. Know your whys of why you need resources, why you need the money. Yeah, okay, there's the basic stuff of survival. I definitely could think survival from Aries Rising. It's a Mars-ruled type person. It's survival in the world, Mars in the world, right? But take the philosophical view and try to think of the deeper reasons why. And with that, to maybe, if you fell off track, to refocus the vision and the quest that has to do with the second house in your chart, Aries Rising. So that is what I want to say to you. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one. It's funny how we always do stuff like this in the astrology world, and Pisces has to wait last. But, you know, I think they're patient people. And they're too busy probably identifying with something else or puffing on a blunt and then just kind of like, oh, it's my turn? Does it really matter? Does time really matter? Anyway, my little weird jokes there. That is for Aries Rising. So let's go. Yeah, okay, this is good. This is going to work out. All right, so now we get to the Taurus Risings, and it's going to be hard for me to check in on chat, but you guys got to deal with me, okay? So here, we'll point out for the Taurus Risings, remember, here's the rising. This is the eastern part of the chart, by the way. If you don't know your rising sign, you can get a chart done online. You can send me a message later. I'll send you your chart. But they call it the ascendant of the rising sign. And there's a reason why many astrologers, when they do forecasting, they do it this way. I'm not going to explain why, but trust me, it is much more dialed in to say, like, read for your sun and moon and rising. I'm not going to do that. We're going to stick to the rising sign. So, hey, Darlene, Happy New Year to you in chat. Darlene's sketching and listening, patiently waiting for Scorpio Rising. I'm sure. You know, remember the fixed signs, though. They're pretty good. They could be pretty good at waiting because they're fixed, okay? They can do it. Sometimes I question the Leo Risings, whether they can be patient or not, but they have it, okay? So let's just say that. So anyway, here's Taurus Rising. And obviously, this is the first house thing. Now, in general, your Taurus Rising, you've had a lot happen to you last so many years, since 2018, since Uranus is coming into your chart. You know this. You've slowly have been dealing with changes, and then they've come out of the blue, and you're still there. You're still riding at those waves of unpredictability, which is really hard for Taurus in general. But at this point, I would think that you have figured this out, that you've had to learn how to shift and get out of the fixed, stubborn ways of doing things. And there's reasons, you know, I'm not talking about Uranus in the chart here, Uranus and Taurus here, okay? So, but anyway, here comes Jupiter in the part of the chart that deals with this outward packaging and the way you rise out into the world, okay? So one way I do this with people, I talk about these glasses and the lens here, that the lens is the rising sign, and you're kind of viewing the world through that lens. And in the sense, the world also sees you as your rising sign a lot of the time. There's just characteristics that come out, your actual body, your physical body. But most importantly, how you rise out into the world and the energy and the vitality behind that, because the first house and rising sign deals with core vitality. I'm a Taurus rising. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to be selfish here and say it this way. This is what I woke up with this morning. I just did. Because I was trying to get out of my mind. And to being Venus ruled, to be Taurus rising, what it actually is to be living in the world through your senses. I was really paying attention to this. I'm always trying to remind myself to do this when I get too stuck in my head. And to know that living through my senses. And the first thing, like I started this stream, I talking about waking up. I'm like, I'm alive. I'm alive. And shit is not perfect. But it was the breathing in of air that fuels my vitality, my aliveness in the world. That basic. And what comes in after that through like the senses, and how I'm bringing that air into my body, and how it keeps me engaged with myself and the world. And the focus that comes from something like that starts to affect everything. So there's the basics of my senses, but then it gets to the deeper place where I'm not just I have a brain and I have a soul and I have these things. So I have to think about why. I cannot help but think about why. And if I'm going to answer the deepest life questions with that air that brings me vitality, how can I meet the outside world this way? And can I? Especially with the changes that have happened the last so many years with eclipses there and Uranus and all these other things. Can I meet the world this way? And during the last so many months in September when Jupiter retrograde, how did I see that vision at first of meeting the world and engaging in the world through my senses? You know, am I patient enough? I think it actually gets in the sense of feelings too, because there is the feelings we get through our senses when we're engaging the world. And engaging the world is everything, and that means people too. So how is me, a Taurus Rising, you as a Taurus Rising, engaging in the world? And do you see the reasons why you're here and what you need to do? I don't know why I wrote it this way. I wrote it this morning, but I wrote, what the hell is it? Focus vitality into the world. So for whatever has gone on change-wise, and wherever Venus is in your chart, Taurus Rising, go look for the more details of how this works for you. Okay? But start with the air that comes through you, in you, and see what happens afterwards with being human is. The touch and the sound and what you see. And follow that. And know that it is instinctual and primal. But also know that because you are human and you have this and you have this, that it's more than that. That it's spiritual. And whatever comes to your senses and whatever review process that you've just done, pay attention to those simple things because they're actually the biggest things. And they will lead you on the biggest things or the biggest pace, biggest quest, biggest vision that you have had. Simple, huh? Use your senses. Meet life. Meet life. Now, before I'm done with this, here's the other part. Watch the sugar intake. Did you go over the top feeling good? Where Jupiter's magnifying everything in Taurus, which is a tense thing. And I haven't talked about the Taurus stuff yet when we deal with pleasure and sensuality. Listen, I know about that in my life since I was born and where it's brought me at very extremes. Go all in on my five senses. So, you know, the retrograde process could have been this for you of like, did you overindulge? Not just overspend, like what you do with your senses. Did it take you off the quest? Did you forget about the garden? Because some of the fruits that came from the garden, you completely ate all at once within a sitting. It's like you ate the whole pint of ice cream late at night before you went to sleep or something when you could have made it last a week. I don't know. Just something there. But that is just an example. You know, the other part of this is Taurus is sometimes could be looked upon as stubborn or sitting on the couch and just not moving. And was that magnified during the retrograde? Did you see some ways where you weren't, like, you could have did a better job? Like, okay, wait a second, I got to get off the couch. There's stuff like that. The overindulgence of laziness, maybe. Stuff like that is something to take into account. But for the most part, we want to get back to the vitality piece and put that out into the world. Taurus Rising. Darlene, NZ Beer Babe, Happy New Year to you. I see you in chat over there. I know you've already celebrated that. Send it to us. You other people 15, 16 hours ahead from us, send the future to us. I hope it's not a hungover future. So, I would get back on chat, but I'm going to keep going. I got to keep going with this. All right, let's go to Gemini Rising. And I'm doing this on the fly in my head. I'm testing myself. There's a reason why I'm doing it this way. And so we're going to go look to where Jupiter is for the Gemini Risings. And you could see it's falling in the 12th house here. The weirdo 12th house that on traditional level has to do what they call sorrow and bad spirit, misfortune, rehabilitative places, the cave, like being separated, like in the cave from everything else. You're in exile. That's the other word, exile. So I know those words aren't the happiest, but I was thinking about this, really thinking about it. If I go to a Gemini Rising, I'm talking to him like thinking about it. With a tendency to someone in Gemini Rising who's Mercury ruled, especially right now too. Got Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius opposite your sign. Mars is there. I'm sure there's actually, I don't know, your last couple of weeks you've been philosophizing, thinking more deeply on things, or getting lost in some vision, or whether it's real or what's not. Whatever the case is, Jupiter in your 12th, it's a type of thing. The way I thought about it was, looking at what's been lost. And what gets lost at times, or what has been lost, and possibly what could be found. And I think a lot of times we do that in places of exile or separated, rehabilitative places. But along that story to get there in those places, or if you're unearthing and you're exploring the basements and attics of your mind, that you realize and see past things or certain storylines of what has lost or what has been diluted, right? And so I was thinking about this retrograde for Gemini Risings. I'm like, okay, well, how are they doing this? And are they engaged with their senses? And what is it? Are they stuck in their head? And when they're doing something like that, what has been found in isolation? And I think here that depending on the type of Gemini Rising you are and where Venus is in your chart, if you haven't thought about that, or even if Gemini Risings can be the most social people, but even in the most social of situations, still be completely alone within themselves, like no one understands them, so on and so forth. So sometimes with a Jupiter transit like this in the 12th, this sense of isolation can be enhanced, right? And could be sometimes overwhelming. But if you are put in a position and having to be in a, let's turn it around. Like if being in isolation became meditative, or you realized last so many months during the retrograde that there was benefits to isolation or to calm your nervous system down. All Gemini Rising's nervous systems is constantly going. So it's like, what did you find there? Have you found something there? And can you apply this to help you with what you know? Now, there's what we know logically, and how our brain fires it off to talk, to go through things, to learn how to do basic sentence structure, right? We do this. We are communicating that way. But then there's the other knowing, the deeper knowing. And for me, thinking about this, I was just thinking about what could happen with the type of being in that isolated place, or turning it into that meditative place, and the type of knowing that comes along there. And it's hard for a Gemini sometimes, Gemini rising. You want the facts and you can dial in on things and know it's just they're there. It's right off the tongue. But this has to do with none of the words, actually, in my mind. Like, it has nothing to do with that. And so, does it seem elusive what I'm saying? It could be. But I would pay attention to, I would take things out. I would look to your life and look to see what can be recycled and taken out, to be let go of. And to finish a story that has to do with the 12th house. But again, I think it's a spiritual thing in the end for you Gemini risings. And whatever that means to you, if you don't consider yourself spiritual or you don't do that, you take what I'm saying and you know. What has been lost and what has been found. That is my take on this 12th house Gemini, Jupiter and Taurus transit. Remember, April, we're coming into the Jupiter. We're coming into this conjunction that's going to happen here. This potential insight coming through. Go look to where Venus is in your chart, by the way, to help you with this along the way. So on and so forth. Okay, so yes. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. This is going to be a long stream, and I'm going to have to edit it. Let's do it this way. And now we're like, it's funny the chart I'm doing right now because holy shit, it's an hour in and I'm only 3 signs in. Oh man, I'm in trouble. Okay, so let's go to Cancer Rising. And this is the way to do a New Year's stream. So here we are. I'm going to point out first house Cancer, and we're going to go look to where Jupiter is falling in the 11th house of, oh yes, we have allies, your patrons, the people who support your hopes and wishes and dreams. We like this. We like this connection, actually. In general, we have to like this. You got no choice. But if you're looking here, remember, there's a natural sextile that happens between water and earth. So here, being a first house Cancer rising, and then where Taurus is here, there's an inclination, a way, and an opportunity here with the transit. And Jupiter is all about, one of the words is opportunity. You might have to, during the retrograde, did these alliances in groups and community you're part of, do they have your back, right? Do they support your wishes and dreams, right? This thing that you're on. Are your friends present in a certain way with your quest, with your story? What you're seeking here in this Jupiter and Taurus transit. It could be so simple as in like finding out who those people are. Did that category in your life become enhanced? Is it quite clear yet? I think it can become clear here for the next 5 months. And in a great way here, I think, it's, if we think of the basic spirit of Jupiter, and if you take a spirit of Jupiter and Taurus, so let's just say there's food and there's drink around with these friends and these patrons who let's say come to support your quest, your hopes and dreams and wishes and stuff like this. And are they integrated? And you integrate with the sharing of your resources, or they're sharing their resources. There's a celebration that could happen here, right? But it's like, first of all, knowing here in the last couple months who these people are and who they aren't, right? Some go out the door, some they do. But in a sense, there's an enhancement here in this area. And I would really pay attention. If you haven't paid attention to this now you got the next so many months to do this. There is a huge celebration that could happen here. If it hasn't happened already, it could happen. And, again, you need to know who these people are. And maybe this retrograde cycle help you kind of sift through that. Abundance through friends and alliances is what I wrote, is what can happen here in the 11th house for you Cancer risings. You use the power of food. Some of you Cancer risings bake. You're gonna basically have a 11th house Taurus with Cancer. Like, use Venus again. I'm a huge Venus person because it's ruling this. It could be that simple. Let's say you need to do a Kickstarter of some sort. Maybe you do it if it's in person, or you have a group meeting and stuff. And make sure the food and the drink is really good there. and have this kind of thing that happens within groups of people when food and drink are dialed in, and then anything can happen. You ever go to an auction? People they have an open bar. There's a reason why there's a bar at an auction, okay? Because by the time the second or third drink is in and they start auctioning off stuff, people start bidding. They just don't care, you know. They're just feeling good. Like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get this. Make sure to celebrate the good vibes with the people that are behind you. You know, this is a big part of it. Am I going to look at the other side of this? You know, there could be scatteredness that goes on here with Jupiter during the retrograde. If it goes over the top, it doesn't do its thing. Maybe, the promises to your patrons, you promised something and you didn't fulfill that type of thing, right? That's a scenario. But again, you can make the call on this. Just remember, you look to Venus in the chart here the next so many months, whatever sign Venus is in, to help you. But I like all of this. But when we deal with hope and dreams and wishes, and Jupiter's in this part of your chart, it's got a special flow going on there than some of the other parts of the chart for some other people. So take advantage of this transit. Will I tell you to gamble and to take a risk? Yes, I will. As long as you know what your code is and what you stand by for whatever that project or that dream or the wish that you have, that you need the support of community, or that if you are clear, practical about it, and very clear, I think it flows with everybody supporting you. But if you overpromise, or you promise and you haven't fulfilled something the last couple of months, you need to check that and to reel it in a little bit, and then become a little bit more tunnel vision with it and show that and use that. But in general, man, there's so much joy and hope and good vibes here with this connection. So enjoy it, Cancer Rising. I'm looking at chat. Clean Music Lover, good to see you in chat. Lisa, much love. I see you there. I'm trying to catch some of you out there. Effortless in the chat. I see something here. I could say this. Mandy says, haha, my patrons and quote suddenly started sending money to help with my trip to Norwalk. Wow, Norwalk, which is a major astrological conference outside Seattle. The Memorial Day here coming up in May, just when Jupiter is going to switch up signs. By the way, it's an interesting time because with what happens with Pluto and as a retrograde. Anyway, you'll make it, Mandy. Just get there. People are super cool at the conference. I'm going to be there. I made a decision. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to do a couple of funny things at that conference. So I have a plan on something I'm going to do. I got to keep going. Cancer Rising, that was what's up. I went on a tangent. What did I write? Abundance through friends and alliances that you have found, and celebrate the good vibes amongst them. And that's what I wrote. So let's go. Let's keep going. Got a long stream today. Do I skip Leo Risings? Man, Leo Rising, they get enough attention, man. Okay, let's skip Leo Risings. Forget about Leo Risings. No, we can't do that. We can't forget about the Leo Risings. Leo Risings, Jupiter is in an amazing place in your 10th house, of the place that deals with how you show yourself in the world, what you're the pro on, what you are the authority on. And, this is kind of a funny thing here because we have fixed angles and we have a lot going on for the fixed angles people. But, I think here, along with other transits that have happened here, and let's be very real about this. You had a Venus retrograde that happened in your first house. Okay. You had a major Mars transit that happened in your house, your fourth house here in Scorpio. We had a Mars Cazimi. And then you have all this. So a lot of action going on in your chart on the angles. But here we deal with reputation. And I know that's a big deal for Leo Risings, whether they're the front on stage all the time or what we call offstage Leos who secretly want to be there, but they don't do that kind of thing. They're hiding behind the scenes, but they still need to be seen. Still need the attention, And I think a lot of times here, it just varies of how a Leo rising will show up or where it shows up in the world. In this case, in the 10th house, we're dealing with the social status of things, and we're dealing with what you're the authority on potentially. And, this is the career part of the chart. That's another way of saying this. But we're dealing with, there's a potential here of an elevated something happening in the career part of your chart or the stage that you stand upon. And maybe here during the last so many months during the retrograde that some of that might have been tested. Did you get a little Leo rising and like show and over express? That's one nice way of saying it. In the 10th house, was there any weirdness that happened in the career part of your chart? Fame's involved in here too. What that means. But I think here, for you especially, there might have been a harder story than, let's say, the Cancer risings have been dealing with here, because I think it squares your ascendant, and it's much more critical. But did you see something here that in the last so many months that can enhance the career part of your world? And it actually doesn't have to be tangible, but did you have the vision that came through where you're like, oh, I could do this, or I need to do this to elevate my world in this way? And you have the opportunity here. I think if you are focused and, you understand how ego works, and in the ways of how it's portrayed professionally, let's say, or so on and so forth, we want to back up your achievements. So we don't want to just talk the talk. We want to show the work behind the achievements, the patience in the step-by-step process, that Taurus likes to do and bring, that build things very slowly, right? And they have their tunnel vision way of doing this. And you got fixed angles. It's all tunnel vision. And there's benefits to that and other stuff that's weird. But if we're talking about achievement in itself, what are you bringing in, and what have you noticed last couple months that can help you finish the story? So for me, your reputation, is it on the line? Could be. Is, fame, all that? Okay, fame, reputation, whatever. What's most important is, I think, is why. Why do you want certain achievements? Why do you want certain status? And I think the biggest thing here to help one do something like this, to ground it in a Taurus type of way, to not let it go wild, is use your creativity. And put that on display, because you win no matter what. You come from your place as creativity as a Leo rising and being a sun-ruled person. You put yourself out there in a unique, genuine way. And I think you had some clues this year with the Venus retrograde in Leo to help you sift out how you did Leo, how you do Leo. And you take what you learned from all of that and you apply it through creativity in the top of your chart, a career chart. And through that, through the achievements, through the step-by-step goals that you attain, maybe you do get the fame, maybe you do get the raise, maybe you do get all that. But those are just byproducts. The most important thing is that you're coming from your true creative core when you're doing something like this. But yeah, is career changes, career enhancements, it's totally there. I could see career loss. Jupiter doesn't mess around sometimes. It doesn't just bring benefits all the time. They could take stuff out. I'm just saying, stay genuine to yourself, Check the ego story and how you do things. I'm not saying ego's bad, but we want to pay attention to how you do this. You get a hint of this by looking at Venus, where Venus is in the chart, or where the sun is in your chart. But in the end, there is something obviously achievable here. And I think here, from now when we get towards April, you're going to have that little extra something come your way because of Uranus. Just stay true to the game and remember, your creativity, your even sensuality that you hold, and how they combine, how they're one and the same, you can just show and display this, right? And we could see you shine. Just don't let it get to your head. Give love, get love. I see you. Hi, Angela R. Angela, I got a couple Angelas, Angela R and Angela Shamba. Good to see this, Sag Rising. I got to keep going. Happy New Year to those joining in. Let's keep going. This is the weirdest way of doing this on a live stream. Let's go to the nitpickers of the zodiac. I love my Virgo risings. I'm talking shit, aren't I? Let's go here. This is the best way I could do it. I can't believe I'm doing it this way. But here it is. So we see Virgo risings here, first house. So we pay attention to a ninth house story that's going on here, and Jupiter being in the ninth house. And the Mercury ruled Virgo risings, and the machine that their mind is, wherever Mercury is in your chart here, we have to acknowledge that your Mercury ruled, and you have a way of going about things with your brain, your beautiful brain, and it sounds weird here, but we have a natural trine going on between, let's say, the Jupiter, the ninth house. They see each other in a way harmoniously here, the first to the ninth here, right? So we have Earth connection here, and we're doing the stream with a major Virgo moon here. This is interesting, but you see this connection, okay? So for me, it has to do with the practicality of the mind, but we take it to the higher place. And, we have to remember that this ninth house, in general, we're dealing with spirituality. Old school way is where astrology is ruled, is ninth house. It's a place of higher learning, higher education, foreign travel. You have places where we go seek truth, higher truth, other people's truth, and we debate that truth. We sometimes incorporate that other truth into our own code. And our codes in truth, and they become law, right? They become something here. But to step back, but we're dealing with a place that's spiritual in general in some ways, through our dreams, through study, through higher learning. And so when we have something like this, is like, how does a Virgo rising use this and connect? And I think it's actually very earth practical here, and we take the system of our mind and we derive pleasure from this place, actually, in this ninth house. That whatever course, possible mentor, possible workshop, retreat, if you haven't done it already, this is a type of thing you could do with this transit. And bring your systematic way into this place, to congeal the two, to bring the Taurus and the Virgo part, and to bring that sharp mind to living through the senses of Taurus and enhance. But it's actual, it actually has to do with it's a spiritual practice. Some people are going to say, they could say religion here, but you could say ritual. Use a spiritual practice here, So what is, I started the stream like, what is the whys? Why are you doing what you're doing in your ninth house? What are you seeking? What do you want? And bring in the practicality that you bring, and vibing in earth signs to do this, okay? So, again, some people could be traveling. When you have a major Jupiter transit happening through your house of foreign travel, you could do this. If you've been thinking about it, I would come up with the funds to do this. I will point out here that your money house is going through some weird eclipses here, where could be the sucking out of cash at certain points, while I'm looking to the Venus rule places in the chart, if you're understanding what I'm doing here. So, we want to pay attention to this, but you don't necessarily. Can you take a trip? Yes, but that's not the only way here. Can you take a trip in your mind, and can you do it? In what ways can you do it? You don't have to actually get on a plane, but there is a type of something beyond and something more here. And this is another thing that's Jupiter oriented. What is more? What's beyond? What can you not see? And once you see it, can you grasp it and get it? It's beyond yourself. I think it's interesting in general with Jupiter, because I think it's a very social planet, because it has to do with testing boundaries, and you do it with other human beings, and you do it with the world. And here you're doing it with just your code and what you live by. And it's enhanced, and it can be here. But at the same time, let's just the other side of this. So I'm just channeling this stuff. I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to be like, oh God, Nicholas, you need to write this stuff down before. I don't care. Anyway, That's my mind. I have to let that go. The other part of this is it can get too into the truth. So you're the Virgo rising, and then and this ninth house, can start preaching hardcore. So it's kind of could be like, I'm gonna say this. I'm not saying Virgo risings are like mega church preachers. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying sometimes when you see the truth and people create a system to speak the truth through or to, and how they will go over the top with it. One way Virgos can get over, they could just not let something go, and it's not right, it's not perfect, and that can become a spiritual quest of being perfect, and then they just destroy themselves from within, and then bring some people along. Again, you have to be careful here about the what the truth is. The preaching of the truth. It sometimes, though, a lot of times when I do stuff like this, or people are studying astrology, this could be represented by something or somebody or something outside of you. So just you make the connections, but inherently, we want to have faith here, and what the word faith is to you, and the faith in your own truth, and whatever truth you acquire and bringing in the last so many months, what you get to do with this the next 5 months. I would there is a dream here. I won't use the word vision again, but there is a dream here. And you could bring in the earth containers that you have to hold the dream. That is one way to say that. I wrote down here the fruitfulness, the Jupiterianness of spiritual practice for my Virgo risings. And that's what I wrote. I'm not even looking at what some of the stuff I wrote here. You guys being good in chat. Okay, good. All right, let's keep going. I gotta keep going. Libra risings. Wow, you just got a year in general going on here. But so 8th house here. You see where Jupiter is 8th house. Well, in general, we're dealing with other people's cash and resources. We're dealing with death. We're dealing with legacy. We're dealing with fear. We're dealing with the shadowy places at times, and the journey through those shadowy places, and what happens there. And in a more modern sense, we're dealing with intimacy. And a lot of times, I think, and if I bring up intimacy, and then we're talking about Libra risings, relating with others, relating with the world, what happens through relating, and what happens through the more deeper types of relations that happen, that become that are built on trust, and because of that, intimacy is created. Hopefully, that's how it flows, right? And through that, and what is connected through that is things that are shared through intimacy. And a lot of times, typically the 8th house, it's opposite the 2nd house that deals with money, assets, and stuff. But there's a connection here that goes on here, because a lot of times, sometimes we're dealing with stuff that deals with other people's assets that you're connected to, that you need, or that you're a part of, that you're mixed up in, because of intimacy, because of a connectiveness. Doesn't necessarily mean like a lover. It could mean all different types of people. It could be, not that you're intimate with the bank, but sometimes we do things with organizations like that it's not just a surface level type of conversation. It's something more established and becomes intimate in a sense. So we're dealing with that. The other part of this is, and not to get your hopes up high, is this 8th house deals with inheritances and benefits that come from something like that. You literally could have something like that, but in order to get inheritances, somebody has to die. So I don't even want to talk in that sense. For me, the way I look at it was the and how I wrote something. I wrote something here about security in a sense, because I think a lot of times Taurus, they're planting in that garden to create security. so they can create the garden and the home for themselves to be present, to survive. And so if there is a story that has to do with this, and it's in a shared place with somebody else or an institution or whatever, we need to look at the last couple months here with Jupiter going backwards and review some of the things that have happened there, and see eventually here in the next so many months about possible gains that do happen here. But I think here we have to think about what more modern way of thinking about this too is the fears that come up in the 8th house and how they can be enhanced by Jupiter. And some of the fears that come up because of intimacy. That's one way to look at this. But in general, there is, and there could be a story here where you are tied in somewhere of benefit here. The key thing here is to remember that you have to remember that this year we had a major Mars story happen in the Scorpio 2nd house that you had, right? And it's opposite all this. You can look to here to October, November, even the last couple of weeks when Venus was moving through Scorpio, through your 2nd house. It was opposite this stuff. It was opposite Uranus and Jupiter. So if you have a story with money and assets that are yourself and the creation of your own resources compared to other resources you're tied into, that kind of thing. On a deeper thing, when we walk through shadowy places and fear-based places, we can discover some amazing things that have become of benefit. And that is where I think it can become spiritual, where one here can use Jupiter in a way to get through something, to see the bigger picture of what possible fears could be encountered or enhanced by Jupiter, at the same time turning it on its head and then using it to your advantage. Again, you got to look to the Venus part of your chart. What the hell did I write for? I just think it's interesting for, because we're dealing with the two Venus ruled signs here, you know, with Libra Rising and Taurus Rising. For instance, right, we're going to go look to where Venus is now in Sagittarius. In one way, it's not making the super flow that it likes to. But when Venus goes into Capricorn here in January, it's in January. Mars, look at Mercury's going to do it eventually because out of the retrograde. Mars is going to do it too and be flowing, and it's home in Capricorn. When these planets roll into Capricorn, they're going to vibe with all the Taurus, with the Jupiter transit and the Uranus transit that's happening in your 8th house. And that part of the chart has to deal with home, the past, memory and family, lineage, stuff like that. So you could have a connection to deal with possible family, and maybe those shared resources that we're talking about actually have to do with the past or family. Now I'm going off. You can see where my brain's doing. Whatever the case is, when Venus, Mercury, and Mars go through Capricorn, they're going to connect here by trine. Okay, so whatever the case is, I talked about the deeper fear part of it, and it's the death house. I think it really has to do with shared resources, possible gains that you can have of that, and possible loss too. Loss of resources that are with shared others. Okay, so that's the category of it. I'm sorry I can't look at the chat because I'm trying to blaze through, and I will after. What did I write here? The significance of fear and intimacy in the 8th house chart. We also want to, what we secretly want, security, and it becomes a possible gain. What the hell was I writing here? Through intimate connection. Remember, Jupiter is about improvement. And we're dealing with relations, and we're dealing with connections that happen in relations. Has it improved? Can it improve? Let's go to Scorpio Rising. Eclipse is happening. Eclipse is happening for Libra. I'm not trying to be weird with Libra right now, but there's so many weird things happening with Libra Aries. When we got the eclipse, remember, Remember, August, these two are going to get together in your 8th house. Could a resources share with somebody else come out of the blue, in and out? Yes. But remember, Venus ruled stuff. You're going to remember there's a major eclipse that's going to happen here that affects your 1st house. So I'm actually telling you to be very cautious compared to the other signs here of how you push things in this area, because it can't help but want to push those types of storylines when we're dealing with inheritance and fears and other people's resources, all that kind of stuff. I feel weird about this one because of the amount of activity, astrological activity that's happening in you, particular Libra Rising. So I just need to say that. It's kind of my whatever. Let's go. I'm rambling. Scorpio Rising. Haven't I talked enough about Scorpio Risings? Am I on the screen this whole time when I do this? I'm looking at the... I'm really up in front of the camera. If I do this, yeah. Scorpio Risings. Jupiter in your house of relationships and partnerships. Old school is open enemies. I think probably this fall and winter for the Scorpio Risings, they have had the byproduct of the eclipses the last 2 years. They had the byproduct. They're still in the space of the Mars-Sun conjunction that happened in Scorpio in their 1st house. They had South Node eclipse that's happened in the 1st house for the last several years. So you're Scorpio Rising, and let's say you have other planets in Scorpio. I don't think it's a hidden story about what you've been dealing with, but I think you've made a turnaround, and I think you're starting to move forward in certain areas in your life. In the relationship part of your life, have you had something, somebody's, people come into your world to enhance you? I think you have to think from the reasons, and this is a weird way to saying it, but meaning that comes through relationships. And I'm saying meaning for those because it's part of what the Jupiter thing, it has to do with meaning of things, meaning of relationships. You got, the insights that come from relating with other people. Let's just say it's a one-on-one intimate situation, or multiple situations, or ongoing whatever situationships, as the kids call them these days. There's always been situationships. They just came up with a stupid name. They got to come up with a name for everything now. It's always been that way. It's nothing new. So anyway, because we're human, some things don't change with humans and relating. Anyway, I don't have to tell Scorpio Rising that because it's just a thing. First of all, who do you trust, right? That's the thing in general. Like, who do you trust? Now, is there more of a paranoia enhanced by Jupiter being your 7th, or is there more an openness and lesson learning that's happened from the last couple of years with all the activity happening in your 1st house? Can you open up, and have you? Or what relationships are of benefit to you? But I get back to what the meaning is of relationships, and to question why the last so many months during the retrograde. Why do I have this person in my life? Why do I pick these lovers? Why do I do this? To go beyond and look, and to try to find the benefits of that and the meaning behind it all, of why you do it and why, and that maybe you need that other person, and you see the meaning behind that. And what happens in relationships and in intimacy. I think here, there's a lot of pleasure involved here in relationships too. It can be with Jupiter and Taurus being there. It can be really hot. It can be fun, immensely sensual. One thing that they have in common, I think Taurus and Scorpio, is this type of, they do sensuality a little differently, but they feed off each other this way. And it's fucking hot, okay? So it can be. I just telling you as a Taurus rising, okay? So I have my experiences. So anyway, it's not about me. So, but here we're dealing with Venus, Mars in general, but we're dealing with Venus. And we just got done with Venus and Scorpio here yesterday, 2 days ago, several weeks of this. So I think there's been a lot of action in just your relationship house in general. And Mars went through there and touched Uranus and Jupiter during the retrograde. Venus did too. So I think at this point, you know what's going on, but we want to look, we want to look at the elevation that could happen in connection, and that it could be a benefit to you and bring you not just sexual pleasure. I'm talking about pleasure in general. Just feel good. And can that happen now finally in your world? Do you have overlapping stories that are happening with relationships coming in and coming out? Yes. Just look to the meaning of it all and what it really means for you. And have faith in all that, that if you are looking for a partner, or if you already have certain types of partnerships, some of it can be contentious. It's not just all candy here in the 7th house. This Jupiter can elevate the contention in relational activities, considering a lot of the transits and the remnants coming out of the eclipses and some of the endings that you've been dealing with, or you possibly are still in the middle of right now. Jupiter can been enhancing those situations, but the last so many months, maybe here moving forward, as Jupiter moves forward, things become a little bit clearer about the meaning of it all, and knowing and just kind of lining it up for you to finish a couple stories. If you have overlapping stories where there's new people, old people in your world, you're going to have to manage this. But I just be careful. I feel like the Libra story here too, with the Scorpio one here. I think I'm not completely feel good about all this one, because the extremity of things that could happen with Jupiter with the 1st and 7th house, and just because of the other transits that have happened. So I'm feeling I want to feel completely elevated about this, but think Scorpio risings, think of the greater story and the greater plan in all this, of how you, a Scorpio 1st house rising, what's the greater plan of you and your relation to others in the 7th? And if you can see that greater plan, or maybe you have been reviewing this the last so many months, maybe you do have certain people in your life that stay or do not, but maybe that those things are changing, but to have faith in the greater plan in it all, in the way you're relating. And in that way, you can, I know you, once you see the deeper meaning behind things and it's solidified in your damn Scorpio DNA, you won't let it go. You're going to go for it. So do you get a new something in your life? Is there marriage? Is there stuff like this? Maybe. But I want to go beyond that and really bring it back to you as a 1st house Scorpio person, just to understand that it's really an improvement that could happen with Jupiter in your 7th house. But first, we have to understand the core places of what needs, the meaning behind it all for things to move forward. And I think they will for you here the next 5 months, considering the last several years. You're all special to me. I've done special readings for you for the last 2.5 months. I've had many Scorpionic people come to me. I am grateful. It's changed my life, by the way. I just need to point this out, that you Scorpio risings and many people who got readings from me last couple of years, the last so many months, I did the best I could with you, and I'm still working with some of you, and I still will. At the same time, I'm going to tell you this, and picture this as your 7th house telling you this. I am utterly grateful for you, and I see the way you live your life, and the hardcore part of it. Since you came out of the womb, you just lead the Mars life, the Scorpionic life. It's not easy, but hey, at the same time comes immense power, immense positions, immense intensity, riding the edge of life and tasting that, okay? So I love that, the tasting of it, me, Taurus Rising, and me coming from your 7th house telling you this. But beyond all that, just want to say to you, whenever you're true to yourself and you do it in a way that's authentic and comes from your heart, that's not about the power game and upping and winning. Once that is eliminated and you show the other true part of yourself here, me in the 7th house, I am like open arms with you. I'm going to cook you dinner. I'm going to bring you into my Taurus house. We're going to indulge your senses. We're going to calm things. We're going to have a safe place for you to be you and raw and honest the way you are. And damn, can you be honest? A lot of people can't handle it. But I appreciate it. And through the honesty, and now I'm getting out through the conversations I've had with a lot of you, when you put yourself on the line genuinely and show yourself which I know is hard because you're protecting yourself all the time for good reasons. I get it, Scorpio rising. But when you get to that place in relating, the benefits do come, not just for me as your other mirror person, partner, whatever else, but like for you. Because I know inherently you want your glass full, or you want your thirst quenched, and the satisfaction that comes through a Mars-Venus story. So remember this, with Jupiter being here, whatever, what's the meaning of the relationships? Why do you pick who you pick, right? The lessons and the things you figured out last so many months, apply them the next 5 months. Rant over. So let's keep going. Sag Rising. Oh, Jesus, man. Sorry. Sagittarius. You weirdos. I got certain Sagittarians in my life, and man, I gotta say this. Man, there's times you picked my ass up off the floor, like with words or whatever. Like, come on, man, you can do it. Let's go. Let's go for a walk. Feel the wind in our face. Let's go for a walk. You see what this could be, what life could be? And then other times you come into my world and you're like the biggest effing smartasses, sarcastic smartasses, thinking you're no more than ever in a super truth with no filters, no consideration of people's feelings, just blah. And I'm like, you drive me crazy. I'm saying this as a Gemini. Like I see right through your stuff, okay? So don't try to pull that stuff on me. I love you, but I see through it. Now, saying that, if you're a Sag rising, you could see here that the sixth house of service and work, the regimen, the day-by-day activities, the old school way we're dealing with pets here. We're dealing with pets that, slavery is the old school way of dealing this, but we're dealing with service and work here, okay? And we're dealing with also, this is a place of illness, but dealing with our system and body too. Esmeralda, Happy New Year with a super chat. Esmeralda says in chat, thank you for an amazing year of live stream content, wisdom, and support. You are truly amazing. Thank you, Esmeralda. I like your username because you have capitals in between it. It makes your username move, like Esmeralda. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, and Happy New Year to you. You know what? I am amazing, but I feed off the world. So I feed off you. Feed off people like you. I don't have all this. I tell myself, I have to remind myself that I don't say amazing. I have a really hard time saying stuff like that to me by myself, but thank you for the reflection. That's why I realized. Another reason why I woke up this morning and I started this live stream is to why. Well, why? Why do I do YouTube? It's to connect with you, to help people. I have a business I have to run, and people book readings and other weird stuff I'm going to do this year, but this simply, whether it's super chat or a comment, it's the other reason why I do this. Is to Jupiter enhance each other. So thank you. Sag Rising. Sorry, I got off on a thing. Let's do this again. Sag Rising. Just look. I mean, this is funny. I'm looking at this chart here in general. This is tomorrow's chart, by the way. Just look. You got Sag Rising. They got Venus in their first house. They got Mercury and Mars there. They got Mercury retrograde, Mercury stationing forward. They got a lot of action going on in their lives right now. So let's just acknowledge that Sag Rising. But hey, let's also acknowledge this, that right here, Saturn's at 3 degrees. We have an ongoing Saturn-Venus square that is happening. So it's not all candy. What is the ruling planet of Sagittarius? It's Jupiter. I want you to think about how you do your work and how you do your daily work life. The little things, the chop wood, carry water part of life, the Post-it notes, the list, the way you service work and yourself. And I think here, with Jupiter being there, you can bring an inquisitiveness to all this, the deeper meaning to all this. I like this, even though it could seem very odd that there's a weird flow here, but in general, the garden that is your sixth house with Jupiter being there, it could actually work in a very simple way, and it is about like and my Sagittarian rising, I don't blame you for running out the door and doing massive amounts of things and juggling so many things at once, right? But in order to get through life, and maybe you've learned some lessons here, in order to get through life and do certain things, you can't completely be blown out with no boundaries. Saturn here is in general is going to remind all of you Sagittarians here for the next 2 years about this, but Sag Rising is going to have this thing, and it has to do with stability at home. I know I'm going off the script here, but there's a lot of action happening in what home is and family and stuff like that, and it's affecting who you are as a Sag Rising. But again, we are looking to this Jupiter here that rules you, there's rules Sagittarius and actually rules Pisces. So you have your 2 Jupiter ruled houses here that are involved in this, I think. And so it's not so simple as work and thing. I think it turns into simple as in you bring in structure and regimen to contain the Jupiter blowout that you have a tendency to do. But through service and through work, we find wisdom. And that is what you should keep in mind here. Through service and work, wisdom comes through that. What you so like and so search for. All types of wisdom. But we want to have a structure and a regimen to all this. And I actually do think it affects who you are, your vitality in general as a Sag Rising, and where you come from and where you call home, and themes and story of family. They're kind of might be intertwined in this story, but keep it simple. What did I write here? Be pragmatic is what I wrote. Wisdom through service and work. The knowledge that came through the retrograde, used then as a ritual through service and work, and turn it right around. So that's what I wrote here. Again, we have to remember the Taurus parts of things. We're dealing with, hold on a second, help me out here. We're dealing with reason in one way, the practicality and reason. Hold on a second. I need to put myself into a realistic, let's talk about a Taurus way of living, sustaining thing. So I wrote sustainability here with your rituals, with your daily activities. I wrote, what else did I write here? Consistency, I think, which is huge for a mutable rising sign, to bring the Jupiter and Taurus consistency in that ritual of daily life and work and the regimen that you have behind it. And I wrote that it will create endurance. And I was bringing in another Taurus thing here. And I hear a see you goodbye. Some of you have said goodbye already. I'm sorry. I just have to keep going. But I think that organicness and that garden there in your 6th house of service and stuff, bring the stability in, bring the structure. And I think it actually will affect your body, and also, which I mean by your 1st house, and also affect what home means and what's happening there. Wait a second. One more thing. You show us how it's done, Sagittarius Risings. A lot of times you show us how to do Jupiter. And I started off talking some shit towards you, but let's end it this way. We need this more than ever, I think, in our world, right? We're battered. We're in survival mode, a lot of us. It's just being human. There's always wars. There's always conflict. There's always bullshit. It's just enhanced by the illusions of social media and information and what truth is. Everyone has their own truth, and I think Sagittarius shows us how to go about this inherently, in general, like seeking out that star, seeking out that truth. But we have to have some sort of system, some sort of something to make it real. And we have to be careful that we don't, we try to impose those truths on other people. And that's what the number one game is right now in the world with the internet land, is how everyone, me talking here, whatever, I'm suggesting this to you. Am I telling you this is exactly what it is? You, everyone watching, knows your own truth here. You know your own quest that you're on. And you have to stick to that. You have to stick to what inherently your intuition is telling you, or becoming refamiliar with your intuition. But we need things to corral those things. So in general, Sagittarius, you show us how to do this. You show us with the buoyancy, with the hope, the faith and the optimism behind it all. And thank you. Like, I want to say something really nice here at the end because, yeah, sometimes I'm going to talk a little bit of whatever with you because you do it. So I'm just doing it back to you. Only a Gemini could do that. But inherently, we see what you do, and thank you. And remember, that I also think that part of maybe doing a sixth house story here is part of a regimen or ritual and the wisdom and the meaning that can come through work and service is at the same time being very real with yourselves. And I think Saturn here helps you. And what I mean by that is not everything's positive, happy, go lucky, jolly. And it's to acknowledge to yourself and even out loud that you are having a bad day. Or that it's not, sometimes life sucks. It's horrible. And the reason why I'm saying this is so we have the balance. So when Jupiter does get dialed in, that it's not all hot air. That there is something to that. And we don't want to cry wolf. I'm like switching this around. It's like we can't be positive all the time. It's just not human. And so you have to gauge that. You have to gauge of like how you do your daily life. I'm not saying don't be positive. I'm saying sometimes if you notice that there's certain things you bring in the world, there's other people that kind of constantly keep this like, it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. It's like, well, sometimes it isn't fine, right? And to be real about that. And there's truth in that. That's real. That is part of it. So it's like, that's some weird thoughts that I have about some of this. They're just my thoughts, my truth. But in general, ritual and service and work brings wisdom and fruitfulness. Let's go to Capricorn Rising. And, oh shit, I'm getting on 2 hours. I'm almost there. Capricorn Rising. Let's just point out Capricorn Rising. Just point out this. Hey, Capricorn Rising, you're almost done with Pluto. Pluto's going to go in Aquarius in January, and then we're going to have another retrograde this year. It barely goes in for a small period of time and goes back to 29 degrees, and it's going to leave forever. So just to say that, congratulations, you're almost there. And thanks for showing us how it's done. Where Capricorn Rising, where is Taurus in your chart? It's right here. Damn, do you have a great placement right now? I'm loving this. You got Jupiter and Uranus in the house of pleasures, okay? So, you all are Saturnian based, Saturn ruled people. And, you all get a bad rap, I think, because it's supposedly business and rules all the time. It could be hot. I mean, breaking the rules, you got to set up the rules to break the rules, but you play that game, But anyway, so whatever the case is, you don't get enough credit, I think. And so here, with this transit with Jupiter going through, I'm going to tell you, go all in. Pursue. If you haven't already, the last so many months, pursue your pleasures. Now, the key is like what you consider pleasurable. And that's what we have to you have to think about what Jupiter's brought to you here and what's made you think about what is pleasurable. Like what is considered pleasure to you, right? Now, I'm in particularly, we have an Earth trine connection that's happening here in the chart, right? So we're dealing with Capricorn here in the first and how it vibes with the fifth. Is anybody's chart like this, first and fifth, or, they're seeing each other that way. So I'm serious, like get down. Like if you haven't indulged your senses and brought in pleasure in your world, will you please do it? And don't worry about spending money to do it. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Don't worry about it. Spend whatever resources you have to give yourself pleasure. Will you celebrate this stuff? And will you celebrate it with other people in your world? Will you, I'm not saying go to the casino, which by the way, you could. You could. But considering a lot of what you've been through, you got a little Mercury retrograde happening right now. We're in the Capricorn birthdays. I wrote creative pursuits that are consistent Taurus, right? Creative pursuits, 5th house. Bring rewards. And through pleasure, rewards can come, is what I wrote. But I also wrote one big word here. And it's real simple. Relax. Relax, will ya? If you're a Capricorn rising, depending on where Saturn is, I'm not saying you people don't relax. But let's say in general terms, relax. You get to do Taurus types of relaxation and you accept that as a pleasure in your world. We know you can do the work. We know you build things. You know you're secretly worried about something, and if you don't keep building something, you don't keep working, then it's all gonna fall to pieces, and you're freaking out on the inside sometimes. I'm talking generally here, okay? So don't get weird with me out there. But I want you to relax in such a way like you enjoy life, pleasures, kissing, sex, fornication, creative pursuits. This is the 5th house. You're dealing with children too. You got children in your life. You know, you got that in your life. Like, yeah, man, like celebrate with them. There's something to all the hard work. Do it through your senses and do it through, I see you in chat, AV. So, you know, again, I like this. Here's another thing. And I really like the transits coming up for the next 2 months because of how fascinating they are, especially when it comes to Venus and Mars, okay? Because we know that Venus and Mars, they're going to leave Sagittarius and they're going to come into Capricorn. They're going to come into your 1st house, right? I didn't realize how loud I am. Oh, that's why I hit the volume button on the damn thing. Okay, that's some Mercury shit happening. So there it is. I think it's better now. So it just so happened the volume went up when I was talking about pleasures in Capricorn. But know that Venus and Mars are coming through here very soon in January. And so you're going to have a Venus, Mars, and Mercury connections to Jupiter and to Uranus in your 5th house, man. Vocalize yourself. Put yourself out there. Will you celebrate yourself? It's perfect timing for at least part of your birthdays out there. Like, be a Leo, okay? Act like a Leo. Do your best Leo impression. Show us what you got, okay? Show us what you got. What else did I write here? I wrote relax. It's so weird. I highlighted it. I wrote relax. And I was like, and what I mean is just take pleasure in relaxation. Take pleasure in the garden that you've built with your family, your friends, with yourself. Show yourself with lovers. We want to take the creativeness of you and we want to enhance this, and this is what Jupiter's been doing if it hasn't, and we want to go there. When we get into April, you're going to have a huge influx of energy. I think the energy already happens in your 5th and 1st houses already here when we deal with Mars and Venus in Capricorn in January. Most of January, then it switches in Aquarius there first week of April or first week of February for an amazing conjunction that's going to happen. But I just want you to know the whole time here, if we're thinking about Venus ruling Jupiter and Taurus, when Venus goes into Capricorn, it's going to be in your 1st house enhancing you and showing you off. And not only that, Venus is moving faster and faster, trying to catch up to Mars and Capricorn. So you're going to have Mars in your sign, which rocks there, and you're going to have Venus there, and they're having their own slow, not official conjunction happening. It happens in Aquarius, but they pretty much are they're together, and Venus is catching up with Mars slowly in January, and the whole time it's hitting all the planets, Uranus and Jupiter in your 5th house. Man, this is good stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say one negative thing. I'm not going to show the shadow side of this. I don't want to, because I think in general Saturn ruled people are just too busy concerned with the shadow and dark side and the cold and dampness at times at all. Who cares about that stuff? Most of your life you have to deal with that kind of stuff. Right now, I want you to drink from that glass and that wine. I want you to kiss those lips if you have some lips to kiss. I want you to go into your studios and to crush and make things, and I want you to sing your song because I think you deserve it. And this is just such a effing good, joyful Jupiterian thing. Okay, so Rewards through pleasure. And by the way, it isn't just some frivolous pleasure. To feel good, to create, our sexual essence, our stuff that comes through that through creativity, all that kind of stuff, the house of pleasure, it isn't just some surface primal thing. It is, it can be, but really, it's spiritual. It's a thing you get to do. It's a way of life. And if you don't have enough of that in your life, find it with yourself. You got to know somebody you can't kiss. That's okay. You just find the creativity within yourself. It's a way of life. And that's one thing to remember here with the Jupiter here. I kind of went off on this thing, but through pleasure, improvement does come. And you get to feel good. And you get to have that thing. And it's all grounded. That's what's amazing to me. It's all grounded in earth signs. So it's like, not only you feel like you can feel your own sense of riskiness, it's all grounded. Doesn't feel like you're going to lose everything. Hey, nothing like a Capricorn Rising. Once they get down their Saturn shield, when it comes to loving, whoo, man, you're dealing with you're going to talk about consistency. You're going to talk about long lasting, go forever. Let's go to Aquarius Rising. I can't believe I talked about Jupiter in that way in that one. I wrote something completely different. Jupiter, Capricorn, Aquarius Rising. I'm almost done. Let's go. You see here, it's happening in your fourth house of the past, family, lineage, parents, roots and foundations, ancestry. Already have a huge story going on here because of Uranus going through. Okay, I'm seeing stuff in the chat. I have to. Let me stop here. Hold on a second. I first of all, I see Canada Dry with another Canada Dry. You get another super chat. I love you, girl. Shout out to my beautiful Cap Risings. Heart emoji. Have an amazing year and pussy the house down. If you know, you know. That's on period, and that's the real tea. Canada Dry. Thanks for acknowledging the Capricorn Risings with exclamation points. Yeah. I'm seeing things. I just want to say this. I can't read all this, but I'm seeing interesting comments. Thanks, AV, by the way, for your comments. Says, hello, Nicholas. I love your lives. Thanks for all the postings this year and sending you lots of well wishes. Okay. And I see other things. I saw, Titian X. I take fetish photography and hesitated on a rather provocative photo, then remembered I've literally done worse. Maybe is that what a Capricorn Rising should do? could be their surprise to everybody. Yes, Angela R says, yeah, Capricorn Rising needs less puritanical BS. Yes, totally. Linda Calder says, Cappy Rising workman just spent a week fighting him off while he replaced the door panels. Yeah. It's funny. It's like you're fighting him off and doing the door panels at the same time. Okay. So, all right, let's do this. Aquarius Rising. Whoa, home. Things changing at home. What's going on in home? Listen, I'll put it simply. This is my weird take on this. I think in an interesting way, when we live through our senses and we access them, and I'm doing this with Aquarius Rising because there's Saturn rule too, and it could be, we got a little bit of the robot here, but you come out of the Saturnian way. But when we live through our senses through the fourth house and have that stability at home, let's say, or the enhancement of Jupiter there, by doing that, you bring a sense of consistency out of your head. I kind of, when we're dealing with, you're taking it easy at home. You want to, and you want to take it easy in a Taurus type of way and create that sense of comfort there. We do it through our senses, right? But I think one can find an enriching Jupiter, an enriching type of something at home. And has that been an issue, or is that on the table the last so many months during the retrograde? Have you brought in certain things to your home to help enhance this, to enrich your home, to bring you that sense of comfort that Taurus likes, to the garden, the metaphorical garden there? You brought in the metaphorical different soil and the certain tools to find the enhancement and the enrichment in your home, to create the stability there that Taurus wants and that Taurus brings. I know this is weird because for the most part, you have had Uranus here in your 4th house, as you can see here, in bringing like all fixed signs have had to deal with erraticness and changes, in your case, in your home and family and stuff like that. So, that's a little unnerving for a fixed sign, for a fixed angled person. You had Saturn and Jupiter go through your world in 2021 and end of 20 and 2021, and you've had a lot of work done, a lot of certain things have happened. Whatever the case is, can Jupiter during this transit bring in something here that could bring you the feeling of peacefulness and serenity that a Taurus likes, and the groundedness, so you can share amongst family and friends and something. The benefit of that, the enhancement of it. So again, if you don't feel that and you've been going through some unpredictability in this part of your chart, your life, here is where you can bring the higher meaning, the higher thing of bringing in faith that everything is going to be great, at home, and can be. And you have to move and work through some things and through some changes, and know here you got still a bunch of time left here with Uranus and Taurus being in your 4th house, that there could be things coming in and out if they already have in your house of the past, lineage, home, and family type of thing. Know that, but know here that while this transit is for the next 5 months, and you're going to have the major conjunction that happens in April, there's something else could be coming out of the blue here, but to kind of change things forever, to kind of change the way you look and deal with home, and the vision and the meaning behind all that on a more spiritual tip. So it's like, if you haven't had these things happen already, I think it's coming your way. And I'm really enhancing this here because this is angular in the chart for me, which means it's happening. This transit's happening in one of the 4 houses that are angular. The first is one angular house. Here's the 10th, and here's the 7th, right? And here is the 4th here where the transits are happening. So it should be very obvious, the stuff that's happening. And but we want to bring in consistency, and let consistency come into this 4th house, and bring in the vision of what can bring consistency and enhancement in this area. That's kind of what I wrote. I wrote this: the joy in your roots. So I was bringing in the Jupiterian joy in the roots of the bottom of your chart, in the Taurus garden that it is. What brings you joy there, and what can you bring in that will create the joy? So that is my quickie there for that. And let's get to the weirdest, freakiest, I don't know what sign, these weirdos, that I should have said those words for Aquarius, but I'm not. I'm going to say it for Pisces. You probably got a reality check, though, Pisces Rising. I mean, you got Saturn in your first, Neptune there. You've been leading a certain life. Your Jupiter ruled, though. And here's the first house, and we're looking to see where Jupiter is in Taurus, and it's your 3rd house here of short journeys, of siblings, of neighbors. Yeah. Your immediate surroundings. I wrote here, are you sharing your joy and abundance with friends, your neighbors and siblings? Maybe you should go look for that. Maybe there's a little too much of that. But I pretty much wrote that. I wrote leisure time with those people, if possible, and finding leisure time, Taurus type of stuff, in your immediate surroundings and world. And also, let's remember that being Jupiter ruled, that we have an amazing oh my God, I just did something. Did my stream just go down? No, it didn't. Hold on a second. There. So we have a water-earth connection here, a sextile-like connection here, and there's a conduit and a creativity here. amazing point in time is right now with this station retrograde or out of retrograde this weekend, with Jupiter being at 5 degrees and Saturn moving at 3 degrees. We have a Jupiter Saturn sextile unofficially happening here, and kind of do this year, by the way, in the weirdest ways. If we take in larger orbs and by sign, even though Jupiter is going to start moving forward, and by the way, it's going to be at 5 degrees for a while, and after I'm done with the sign, I'm going to show you something. But we want to take into account that Saturn's working with Jupiter right now. So you Pisces risings are having, Saturn in your first house of vitality, feeling slowed down, possibly having to move at a slower pace, contemplation. Maybe you're not feeling so sociable. It's hard to have Saturn in your first. You're having to take out some time and contemplate. You don't have the vitality possibly of moving the way you like to or you used to doing. Saturn wants to bring in and crystallize and contain the Pisces and redo pillars and foundations in for your first house, your rising sign. That's good. That's a tough transit, and that can be the next couple of years depending on your the degree of your ascendant. But know, at least here for the last couple of months, the review period with the retrograde and where you're going the next 5 months, that Jupiter is totally working in a sense with Saturn here. And so we want to take advantage of this. And I think you're one of the ultimate signs that deals with faith and optimism and that everything's going to be okay, that walking out the door with no plan, that the universe is going to take care of you. Now, I think Saturn being in your first is kind of like, hey, I can't do it the way you used to been doing this kind of stuff for years. We need to change the way you do this. But Jupiter helps you. And the way you could focus this is the ritual and the simplicity that comes through the ritual dealing with your immediate surroundings. If it's going to take a walk in the park with your friends that you consider your friends, you have siblings you're on good terms with, hopefully. There could be a relational story that's going on there right now, and that you maybe have been reviewing the last couple months during the retrograde. Hold on, I need to do something on my end here. But there's something else here, and I'm going to come from this place here. This is more of what I'm going to say is more of a older astrological view of this. If you haven't been doing this since Jupiter went into Taurus in the summertime until now, Pisces Rising, I have an assignment for you. If you haven't been paying attention to your dreams, start doing it right now. If you keep a dream journal, or maybe after you wake up, you draw something, or you talk into a recorder, something there to try to understand and interpret your dreams. This part of the chart in an old school way has to do with this too. Not just besides the siblings part and the short journeys and your immediate surrounding stuff, right? Certain types of friends. I'm giving you the more Jupiterian religious rite of it all. Pay attention to your dreams, especially right now in the next several months. When we get to April, there might be a little something there waiting for you. As for the bigger picture of things in your world in general, of how you're walking in the world as a Pisces rising, with the Saturn reconfiguration happening, as you can see here, you've been dealing with a major Neptune transit forever. So we want to bring in concrete things in your dreams, and the interpretation or possible way of doing that. Can you take what is the code and the truth out of there, if you find the connection and the truth, and then can you bring it into your Taurus third house garden? So take those insights, okay? Take them and then do something with them. And you could do something with them in your immediate world, in your bedroom, around the house, in the garden outside your house. Share it with your friends maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to find the way to do this. This is a weird one to talk about, but I really, when I was thinking about all this, I was like, I don't know, there's something about the Pisces and Taurus thing of connecting the dream and making the dream concrete through a certain way of plotting and working. But it starts with the to understand what the dream is and to interpret your literal dream, right? The dreams that you're having. I will also incorporate daydreams in all this, so on and so forth. So for me, you could possibly thrive doing this. There's a thriving thing, and so on and so forth. Whoa. I don't know if I did a good job with the last couple. I don't know. Let me do something here. And that is your 12 rising signs, Jupiter and Taurus forecast something. Cut. All right, so let me get this off the screen. I'm doing that because I'm going to have to edit this later. I can't believe 45 of you have listened to 2 hours of that. And I didn't do the best I could, but I will later on because it won't be the only time I'm going to be talking about this. I want to say hi in chat. I want to say thank you for everyone who listened to that long-ass thing. I'm going all the way back. I'm not going to catch up with it. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge GRP Jelly. You're amazing. I see you there. I didn't get to see you in chat. KC, good to see you heading out. Listen to the rest later. Happy New Year to all of you who've jumped in and out. Kelly Watts is a Taurus rising with Jupiter. Good to see you, Kelly. Oh, wow. Wow, Kelly. Oh, man. I'm wondering what's going on with your year. So I'm looking later. It says El Sosa in chat says hoping for some good news for Capricorn. Well, I hope I gave it to you. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll through chat and do this. All right. So, man, a lot here. Let's get to showing you something here. I will go into what I was talking about earlier. I want you to see something. Actually, I'm going to try to do something right here on the fly, and it's going to be for the next, I'm going to go 5 months. No, the next 6, and it's going to be a run there. We're going to do a, I won't do it that way. Okay, so I want to show you something here in the chart. Here's tomorrow. Venus or Mercury is going to station get out of retrograde tomorrow at 22 degrees Sag. We are finally coming out of the retrograde cycle. Jupiter's moving forward. Mercury's moving forward. This is a great way to start off the year, I think, considering all the other stuff that we have to deal with. And so we want to mention this. Let me go right here. Here is Mercury right here moving forward at 22 degrees. We do know, I'm going to put up a slide here, and it's probably going to be wrong, but we know that where in my slide thingy, that's wrong. I have wrong information right there. We had on the 22nd, remember December, was Mercury went into Sagittarius, and then we have Mercury stationing direct on 22 degrees Sagittarius is going to yeah, that doesn't make sense what I have there. Okay, so why did I do that? Wait a second, man. Wait, is it like this? Yeah, why do I? No, Nicholas. There. Okay, so that didn't make any sense what I just did right there. I'm going to do it myself. I want to show you. We're going to do it by the day here, and we're going to keep going here, and I want to show you when Mercury is going to go into Capricorn. It is pretty much January 14th. You will see it will re-enter there on the 14th. We have to remember this because it was on the solstice that we had the Mercury-Sun conjunction and the Cazimi part, and it was combust that day, and then Cazimi is conjunct, so on and so forth. We could see already that by the 14th that Mars is already in Capricorn, and I'm going to show you this and keep going, and I'm going to go till Venus goes into, you can see the 23rd, Venus goes into Capricorn. Now we have Mars and Mercury there, and we have an interesting second half of the month Capricorn-wise. We're already into Aquarian birthdays. I needed to show that because I mentioned that earlier. This is really good stuff, actually. I like this, and some of the Mars-Venus connections that are going to happen all the way into February. All right, saying that, let us go to here. Did I do another chart? There, we want to show this one more time right here. This is when the 20th, Uranus conjunct Jupiter, major day here. Eclipse a week before that happened, so on and so forth. Okay, but we don't want to forget something else. At this point, I'm going to show you something right here. I'm going to start here on this day. And so we're going to switch over right here. And this happens to be March 23rd-ish time, okay? This is several days before the first eclipse that's going to happen. And I want you to pay attention to something. We're paying attention to Jupiter here at 15 degrees at this point. Now we're getting to the point in time where Jupiter stationed retrograde in September of how I started this stream. We've gotten to this place where around this time, Jupiter is caught up and reviewed the whole point from now until March when it hits 15 degrees again, the point in time that we reviewed since this past December or September. A lot of information. I'm sorry. The reason is I'm pointing this out to you is this, is we see the influx of Mars and Pisces, Saturn, and you can even see on this day that Venus is at 15 degrees Pisces, which means we have a sextile going on with all the Pisces planets and all the Taurus planets. So when we get into, even before this, the Pisces birthdays, we're going to have these amazing connections between Pisces and Taurus. And this is a big part of the Jupiter and Taurus cycle until the end. And you could see then, you know, obviously the Sun and Mercury is going to go retrograde not too long after this. But whatever the case is, we could see that we have major connections with Mars that's going to happen with Jupiter, and Venus already doing it. And Venus is going to do it with Uranus too. And eventually, Saturn's going to do this too. So down the line. So these are really great transits considering all the other eclipse stuff and the tough stuff that's going to be happening, that in one way in the period of time here when the Pisces planets happen and connecting with the Jupiter planets, we like this and we have to use this as our go-to place. Okay, so one more thing I'm going to show you and then I will be done is that I'm going to go all the way. You can see what I'm doing here. Here is the conjunction that happens. I told you around the 20th here, right? And so we'll keep going. Now we're paying attention to Jupiter here. And you could see Jupiter now at this point. I have May 2nd here. It's at 24 degrees. We're getting towards the end of things, right? You could see what's happening. Here is Neptune at 28 degrees Pisces. And now we're getting somewhere, aren't we? So we're going to keep going. And we're going to get to the point of this. And I'm going to get to the major conjunction that happens right here between, this is May 18th-ish, right here, that week. We have Jupiter in the Sun, a conjunction that's happening there, but it also has this particular connection with the Sun and Jupiter, also has the connection to Neptune. This is a huge transit. I for any people who have stuff at these degrees with Earth, I wanted to show you the end of the Jupiter and Taurus transit and how huge this is, and how it ends. Talk about visions. Talk about like Jupiter being in Taurus, Jupiter ruling Pisces, right? And Venus is coming along on the story here, right? So if I go, there you see the Sun goes into Gemini, but here you have at the very end of the transit with Jupiter, you have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction that happens right here that is exactly connecting in the sextile form to Neptune. That's happening at this point. We're at May 22nd. So Jupiter leaves Jupiter and Taurus leaves in the most pleasurable, most indulgent, sensual way that it can, with Venus in Taurus and with Neptune. Talk about a party. Talk about drinking the wine and tasting everything that's good and enjoying the success and the bounty of a Jupiter and Taurus transit. And hopefully that is what it is for you. Know in the Pisces and Taurus parts of your chart, this is the connection that is happening, and we're building up here for the next 5 months. It's huge. On April 20th that we have the Uranus Jupiter connection that happens culturally. It's a huge start of a huge shift for us. and part of a 14-year cycle. But in general, so I can be done with this because I wanted to show this. Here is a huge point in time, May, when we end with Jupiter at the beautiful 29 degrees with Venus and with Neptune in Pisces, which, by the way, you could see this Neptune is almost done. It's going to go into Aries, right? But it doesn't. It actually goes retrograde at 29 degrees and will go back, and it doesn't go till Aries later. And when it does, it'll do it with Saturn in Aries, and that's down the line. Whatever the case is, check it out. An incredible, this day in general, the 29th or the 22nd is funny because you could see that the Scorpio moon's at 26 opposing. It will be opposing at one point all of this and trining the 29 Neptune. A fascinating week in astrology. I think one of the biggest weeks of the year. The second half of May is pretty wild. You can also see that what happens in May is Pluto will be at 2 degrees Aquarius at this point and will be retrograding, stationing retrograde to go back to 29 degrees eventually. That happens in May, so on and so forth. Whew. There you go. I wanted to leave you with this because I think the world needs a Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, a Jupiter-Venus conjunction to happen in Taurus. That in the end, it's Venus, really. And I say this because to end this stream slowly, to end this year, if I were to pick the most important transit in my mind that was the most important thing, it was the Venus retrograde that happened in Leo and everything that happened since Venus was in Leo. Venus just entered Sagittarius. But when Venus went into Virgo, Venus went into Libra, the connections that happened there, Venus and Scorpio, all this, when we're getting to January, pretty much Venus you could see in the morning now already, and eventually Mars, I didn't mention this, Mars slowly here in January will be showing itself in the morning too, will be morning star. So we have this very interesting transformative transit this year with Venus, and it happens to rule this Jupiter and Taurus and will all the way there until the 22nd, the week of the last couple weeks of whatever of May, and then we are done with Jupiter and Taurus, and we go into Jupiter and Gemini, and that is a whole nother something else. But it's like there's a lot of Venus work happening here. So any of you who have made it this far will know that everything I talked about with your rising sign, know that you always want to pay attention wherever it is. If you're having connections with Jupiter and Taurus, a Jupiter and Taurus story that's happening, you're making the connections within yourself on a particular day this winter or spring, go look to see where Venus is in your chart, natally and by transit, to get a more detailed way of dealing with it. In the end, I love that Venus is ruling Jupiter and Taurus. It's very, again, I've preached about this, Jupiter, many times on my channel. Out of any time to be engaging your senses in the history of the universe, it is now, because everything out there is made to detach your senses. They're using your senses through ones and zeros. I wouldn't be able to do this, but it's not everything. If you want to tend to your Jupiter and Taurus garden, if you want the benefits of this, get into your body and get into your senses and use that in those Venus-ruled parts of your chart. It's infinitely there. It's you have nature on your side at all times with your senses, and it's your top five tools of getting through life. Does it smell good or not? I want it when it smells good. Does it taste good? Did the words that I have in the conversation I had with my partner, was it right? Like it's actually super simple. Through your senses, through that place, especially in liminal places where we are now, where we're changing the year, we're changing the seasons, we have major planetary bodies slowly here this next couple of years. There's an era. We are entering somewhere new. And when we're doing something like that, if you haven't noticed, a lot of discombobulation, a lot of uncertainty. And I'm telling you, go back to your senses. Go back to Venus. The truth. The spirit The higher thing is there. And when you have access to that and you're engaged, you can fulfill the quest that you're on in the Taurus part of your chart, right? So it's like, that's why I'm grateful for this Taurus type of thing, because I don't think it's that complicated. I don't think it's complicated. Jupiter and Gemini, that's going to enhance brain function and go all over the place. And I'm a Gemini. I'm psyched for the transit. At the same time, I'm like, oh shit, I got to get ready because that's just too much of the head. But Jupiter and Taurus, I'll take the risk and gamble, Jupiter, on the pleasures of life and what Venus brings and our connection to ourselves and people in the universe through the senses. And if it's connected through sensuality and practicalness, even stubbornness. But if we are trying to enhance our world that way, I will double, triple down on that. So for me personally, I went big on this stream. I didn't do the best job of it, but what I'm telling myself as someone who is major Taurus, midway through this transit that only comes, every 12 years, I'm going all in. I'm going all in the next 5 months, 6 months on this channel, on my practice, on everything. The thing I have to tell myself is to know when I've gone too far. And that's what you have to remember about Jupiter too. When I did this whole thing is to know, what your limits are. The overindulgence, the overdoing. But if you can corral this, and maybe you got clues here during the retrograde and apply this the next so many months, you have a good system. And you can make that story happen. And don't let anything get in your way of fulfilling, your vision and dream. And however big it is, however simple it is for you this year, use your senses to get you through. Moderation's a word, I guess. Hello, Steffi G. Let me say hi to chat, and I got to wind things down. Woo, man. I don't know how I'm going to edit this. I don't care. I will deal with it later. And let me see what's up. I'm looking all the way back to some comments. I did a fetish photo shoot back during the Jupiter Taurus Leo Venus square. Jessica says, yes. Nice. Titi Next said earlier, Pisces is my 6th house, but this feels pertinent to some of my experiences as well. Good luck, Pisces Risings. That's good. Sasha 906 says, try having Saturn on your ascendant natally. I kind of know that. I know what that is. Thank you, James. Thank you. Thanks to everybody here. And I'm coming up to be done. Sunbeam Network says, good to see you, by the way. My Jupiter is in Taurus at the last degree. So is mine. I'll out myself here. I have Saturn in Taurus at 29 degrees, and I have Jupiter in Scorpio at 29 degrees. You could see what's happening to me and what's about to go down. Will I be alive? And if I am, like I started the stream saying I'm alive. If I'm alive and I'm there, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm not letting anything get in my way this year. I cannot. There's going to be heavy politics, heavy arguing. There already is on social media, everything. There's all that stuff. It's always been in here on planet Earth. Do not get sidetracked by illusions, lies, or whatever. You're in survival mode. You need to feed your own self, and you probably have other people's mouths that you have to feed. You have to do whatever it takes to get those basic survival needs met and for you to feel grounded and secure. Forget the guilt and shame and whatever else is out there from friends, from social media, whatever. It doesn't matter what's going on out there. It does, but what matters first and foremost is your own safety, security, and feeling good. Focus on your vision and don't let anything get in your way, and stick to your code and to your truth. Sorry, I must keep going. I'm looking at the chat here, and all right, I'm done. Cosmic Rose, yippee, I caught you live. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Cosmic Rose. And yeah, I have to timestamp this. It won't happen until later. I might work through tonight. My New Year's might be working. But I want to say that to everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging with me. I had something here I wanted to do before I left. What the hell was it? Where the hell is it? I wanted to talk about Uranus Saturn or Uranus Jupiter more, but I'm done. And yeah. That's enough. Okay, let's do this. Let's say goodbye. Let's say Happy New Year goodbye. There's a way I want to say goodbye, and I want to see if it showed up. And here it is. It did. I'm going to say goodbye in this way. It is a long way. Thanks, Jay Peterson. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna end with Blazing Space. I'm not gonna end with Blazing Space. I'm gonna end with a thing Blazing Space would do. Gardenia, good to see you. Maybe next weekend, homie. Saw it coming through with the dual band visuals. I saw that here in PDX, so I gotta see if I'm gonna be in town actually. And if I am, it'd be good to see some faces. I'm gonna sing a song. I'm not gonna sing a song. I'm just gonna recite something to end my New Year's stream and to say thank you to everybody who has supported me this year, to support my live streams, this community that has come here to get to talk with, reflect with. And I'm going to end it in a way that how I have started this YouTube journey. And it has to do with Venus in my life as being a Venus-ruled person. That thing with Eros and the cohesiveness of love and beauty and pleasures and what we all deserve. And what I know, I am not the only one that feels and things like this. That if we're looking for solutions or we're looking for the vessels of something to help us, it always is with the heart in general and with love and even tough love at sometimes. And there's realities with things and we have to deal with that. But inherently everything comes from that place and what love means to you in all its different forms. And that's who I am. And that's what this channel is in the end. No matter what rants I go on, no matter how crazy I get or hardcore I get, in the end, know that's where I stand. And all of you have supported me this year, from YouTube stuff to Instagram to my personal life, because my friends watch this, to my family that I know sometimes watches, doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, but they see me on the big screen. Like, look at Nicholas, look at what he's doing, whatever he's doing. To old school friends, this is where I'm going. The environment could change, the so on and so forth. But what will not change is how I stand with my heart and what I do as a human being on YouTube and as an astrologer, a practicing astrologer with my clients. So, it's everything. Life is hard and life is tough. I've had a very tough year, but an extremely successful year too. And some of the goals that I wanted, I have achieved. And I pat myself on the back because I can't talk about those other things. But trust me, it was hard. And other times, glorious in the work and the opportunities that have come my way. I want to thank Melissa LaFaro, who's had me on her Energetic Principles podcast. A thank you. Jasmina, who comes out near the astrologer, had me on her show. I want to thank Chris Brennan, who I've been friends with for a while, and invited me. Chris and Austin invited me on the October forecast, which was amazing to do. I learned so much, and I had a great time doing it. And it changed some things for me. There's other people I could thank here. I'm probably not remembering. Stormy Grace, who had me on her channel to talk about Venus and Scorpio. My friend here, I might pull it up here. Give me a second. these people, along with many other people, supported me and saw what I was doing. On YouTube, they just had my back. Decided to take some chances. So on and so forth. So I'm seeing some super chats. Jessica, thank you. Good to see you, by the way. And I know I'm going to see you down the line. Jessica, thank you for the super chat. James Sanders, solidarity to you, brother. I'm going to need more of that this year, but thank you, James. And Canada Dry. Canada Dry, do your thing, girl. Do your thing. Do your project. All the people, my clients that I've talked to, that some I've done homework with, so on and so forth. Remember, you got to check your spam folders, because sometimes my emails go to your spam in the last 3 months. If you're watching this, like, hey, Nicholas didn't do this, like, you got to check your spam folders. Remember the homework that we came up with. Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to catch up with some replies for the last 3 months with my client base. I haven't had any time. I think I was, who else's podcast? Yeah, I was at Yasmina's astrology podcast, Cosmic Dispatch. Those two over there, the Cosmic Dispatch, they invited me several times on their podcast. They're on hiatus right now, but they're coming back new. Go follow the Cosmic Dispatch on IG. Good people. I want to give a shout out to other people that I love. I've promoted people on this. I will promote people in the next 24 hours on my Instagram stories, people that, small businesses. I'm going to do that today and tonight as the end of the year, celebrating other people. So I'm just going on and on. I'm so fucking lucky with what I do. And whatever changes here that happens to me this year, you're going to know about it, and you'll be obvious, and you'll see that. And I'm in a point in my life where, I wake up grateful. I also wake up in fear. And I go back and forth between gratitude, fear, and love. And I'm grateful for the fear, because that sometimes propels me out of bed. How much time do I have left? You never know. So I'm up. Try to do this. Try to do that. Can't wait to talk to a client. Or the other times waking up and feeling like, man, I got a great life. It's not perfect, but I'm going for it all the way. The combination of things is how I run. And so with saying that, again, I want to thank everyone that has been there for me, and I am got some things to take care of personally here in the next 3 to 4 months. The more I do that along with my work, I have this feeling and vision that some certain things are about to happen to me. And if I'm lucky enough to get there, that I am present, calm, and aware and ready for anything to happen. And that is life. And that is the place I want to be. And that is the way I want to live. And I hope for any of you watching out there, you're new or whatever else, that you find something, that quest that you're on, the vision, the things that are most important to you or have become important to you, that you have the conduits and the tools and the blessings of the universe to help fulfill those stories. Sometimes we wish it could all happen in 24 hours, but life is work, and it's a step-by-step process. But if we and you and I at certain points can acknowledge wherever we are, during a live stream or in person, to where we are in that process, and to be with each other and support each other in those ways, it is the most powerful things humans can do. And that is all based on love in general. So thank you. I'm going to read something that is a song that a friend of mine, his name is Guy Davis. He's a musician in Seattle, an amazing old school friend, amazing musician. I was somewhere recently where I heard this song again. It's a song I've heard for a long time ago, and I hit him up today. I go, Guy, dude, can you send me the lyrics to the song? And I don't think he grasped why, but I'm going to read this while I cue off. And I is my Happy New Year gift to you. The way I'm living and the way I like to live, okay? And so, and I might end it with some sound. I think I still have some. That's still going. I might have to change this. All right. Let's do it. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to leave you with this beautiful song. Happy New Year to all of you. Cosmic Rose, thank you. I see a bunch of you in chat. I can't get through you all, but you guys have been so dope in chat. Cosmic Smooth Supermarket, thank you. Thank you for all the nice comments. I will read a lot of them when I'm off here. So let's do it. This is a song called Big Ol' Sun by Mr. Guy Davis of a band, several bands. I know this song through a band called Guardian Alien, and he's in also another band called Culture Shock. You should go. That band's amazing. Another band, Sage, okay? And I might fade out to something as I do here, and I'm going to do it right. All right, I'll start here. This might be long. I might do a shortened version of this. Okay. It's early in the morning. I'm sipping on a cup. The big old sun is coming up. I'm wondering what I came here to do. I don't know who I am, where I'm from, or where I've been. But I know it's got something to do with you. I've been around this big wide world. I've met a lot of eyes, and I've been around this big wide world, cried on a few shoulders, and I've been around this big wide world, seen amazing things, yet through the maze of time and space, I close my eyes, and it's your face. Reminds me what I came here to do, to love you. The sun's getting higher. I'm sitting by the fire. She's in the snow, reaching higher, trying to find out what she's supposed to do. So I drink another cup for good luck, lace up my boots and think, what the fuck? Hoping I find her prints in the snow. See, I've been around this big wide world, and I met a lot of eyes. And I've been around this big wide world and cried on a few shoulders. I've been around this big wide world and seen amazing things. Yet, through this maze of time and space, I close my eyes, and it's your face. Reminds me what I came here to do. To love you.